Club will blow your mind, developing everything you need. Smell, feel your best. Shampoo, body wash, I use that. Toothpaste, amazing shave too. Get the shave butter, give it a try. I'm in the club, dollarshaveclub.com/Colin. Albert Breer on the Jets trade with Indianapolis. Why aren't the Cowboys doing anything? I'm going to get to my Cowboys take in the next 45 minutes. I feel very strongly about this. It is great news if you're a Cowboy fan. I also have a mock draft before the end of this hour right now. Christine with the news.
No. Turn on the news. This is the Herd Line News.
You caught me mid-sip of my tea there. So we're talking a lot about UMBC.
Right.
And the fact that a lot of us did not know who they were until they did this for the first time. A number 16 seed knocked off a number 1 seed. And now they have trademarks in the works for the Retrievers name. Now they also have cool new shoes. Steph Curry saw what happened, and he sent all the players, or technically the school who then gave them to the players, because otherwise that's not allowed, all of his new shoes. These are the unreleased editions of the Curry 5.
So that's legal?
I think there's some way that you have to work around it. Like you send it to the school, and then the school can delegate who gets them, who happen to be the players.
So he donates them to the school, and they just happen to be on the players' feet 4 days later. Okay.
And they're an Under Armour school, so it works out well. And these are the shoes you approve, right? Because they're not nurse shoes.
I like these shoes for Steph. They give him a little villain feel to them. Like they're kind of cool. They're dark shoes. They're kind of cool, sinister. I like that.
I love that you get villain out of that. I wear black shoes all the time. Do I scream villain to you?
No, but I like athletes, like the Raiders, the Steelers. I like the dark uniform. Yeah, the toughness, yes.
Very opposite from the nurse shoes.
Yes.
So LeBron James is talking now about Tyronn Lue's absence and taking some time off. I've actually seen some mixed things that people are expecting it to only be a few days.
Okay.
Or maybe a week
for
him to take some time off to figure out what's going on or maybe de-stress. But here's LeBron talking this morning about it.
I think it's probably well overdue. Understanding what he's been going through throughout the season. So, obviously health is the most important with everything in life. So, I'm not surprised by it at all.
Okay, he said it's long overdue. That's interesting.
I would say this, that he has literally left 3 games in game. So the story I read this morning during the break here, Ty has gotten up and left 3 different games. So, I think this is not like a sudden thing.
Right.
I think it's an ongoing thing. The other thing is, when the story first broke this morning, Christine, it sounded like, oh, my God, he's done for the year. Mm-hmm. The more we hear about this, he could be done for a week.
Or if that.
Yeah.
I get it. If it is stress-related or if he's having chest pains. Wasn't it Kevin Love who just last week, I think, was talking about panic attacks?
Sure, I had one once, yeah.
Yeah, but they happen.
Yeah.
So maybe the best thing really is just to take some time off. That can work wonders for people. Just going away for a week, stop thinking about work, and you come back fresh.
Yep.
So that's fine. And finally, this is the weirdest thing I've seen all day. I think you're going to think the same. And because you are fascinated with LeBron, I think you're going to like this. So he has on his staff a biochemist who happens to be a former Navy SEAL, which doesn't surprise me. It seems like he'd be the kind of guy who'd make big investments in his health. He spends apparently 7 figures a year caring for his body. He has personal chefs, masseuses, this biochemist. He also gets private treatments with liquid nitrogen so that he can reduce his inflammation. The weirdest part about all of this is it's just now coming out that during an Eastern Conference Finals game back when LeBron was with the Heat, he gained 7 pounds during a game.
Why? I don't get it.
I don't get it either. That's why this is the craziest thing. Usually you would lose weight, especially if it's water weight, if you're sweating a bunch, the amount of cardio that he's doing, but he gained 7 pounds.
So where's this article
during
at?
The game. This is just coming from let me see where it is. Oh, it's Brian Windhorst.
Oh, I want to read that.
Yeah. It's really interesting that he would gain 7 pounds. I just don't know how you do that. And Windhorst doesn't have an explanation either. He said players were in the locker room. They saw it happen. It wasn't a scale malfunction. He just, same outfit. Maybe it was a sweat, like a heavy jersey. But he's doing something.
Good stuff, Christine, with the news.
Well, that's the news.
And thanks for stopping by.
The Herd Line News.
Via the Coward Global Satellite Network, the very latest NFL news. Our friend Albert Breer at the Monday Morning Quarterback. Okay, we said on Thursday we had some pretty good intel. The Colts wanted to fill most of major gaffes and several holes Okay? And so they get multiple picks here. We also said we thought an Arizona, a Buffalo, a Denver would move up. It happened to be the Jets. Here's my concern. Albert, if the Giants did choose Rosen and the Cleveland Browns took Darnold, then the Jets moved up, gave up great picks, and would be taking the third best quarterback. Did the Jets show their hand too early on this?
I don't think so. The Jets' thinking here was to try to take advantage of being ahead of some of the other teams in the process. The Giants have a new general manager at number two. The Browns have a new general manager at number one. And under an ownership directive last summer, the Jets poured a ton of resources into scouting all the college kids. They were at just about every UCLA, USC, Wyoming, and Oklahoma game this fall. They spent a ton of resources vetting these kids, getting background on these kids. They feel like they're ahead of some of the other teams as far as looking at these quarterbacks, and they feel like the price was only going to go up over the next few weeks if they waited. They felt like it was important for them to get ahead of it. That's what they did here. I don't think trading up to one was going to happen. I don't think Cleveland's moving out of one, and the Giants and the Jets weren't going to trade with each other. They knew the Colts were open for business. They knew that'd be a hot spot for your Buffaloes and your Arizonas. So they felt like with all the background work that they did in the fall, they get ahead of everybody else who may not be 100% there on the quarterbacks and go and get some certainty as to their situation going forward and get into that number 3 spot. I don't think they had much of a chance to get up to 1 at Cleveland, and I don't think they had a great chance to get to 2 with the Giants.
By the way, and I just said this, even in a city as big and as rich as New York, the owners are battling for PSLs, advertising suite money, advertising in-stadium revenue money, okay? The Giants now may not want to tick off Eli, but he is 37. Would they let their crosstown rival, I mean, they don't have to play in the same conference. They're rivals. They're battling for revenue, sweet money, and ads. Would the Giants say, guys, we're not letting the Jets have Rosen, and does this trigger a Giants draft a quarterback move?
All right, so let's start with what I know. What I know right now is the Giants really like 2 players. Saquon Barkley, the running back from Penn State, and Quentin Nelson, the guard from Notre Dame. They're vetting all of the quarterbacks. Dave Gettleman's been up high in the draft before. He knows, he was there in 2004, that if you're drafting that high, you don't plan on being up there again for very often. And so if you have an opportunity to take a true franchise guy, you're going to take a true franchise guy. I just don't think they're there yet as far as their vetting of the quarterbacks go. And perception around the league with other teams right now is they're probably more likely to take a Barkley or a Nelson at number 2.
Okay.
But I'll tell you what, Colin, based on the market right now and based on what Buffalo and Arizona, teams like that might have to do to get in position to draft a quarterback, you have to think that over the next month this is going to develop to where either the Giants have to take one at 2 or they have to take one of the trade offers that is likely to materialize from a team looking to come up and get a quarterback.
By the way, in the NFC, Arizona is now the only team without a quarterback. I mean, I just don't think – and now they've got Goff and Garoppolo and Russell Wilson. And by the way, 3 good coaches, Shanahan, McVay, Pete Carroll. If I'm Arizona, next year's not a good college quarterback class.
Yeah.
How does Arizona not move up? I mean, are you hearing anything there?
Well, and that's part – you know what, Colin? That's part of the deal here, too. And when I was talking about the Jets there, part of the deal is the 2019 class, we don't have names there. Now, there could be a Mitch Trubisky that comes out of nowhere, like a Ryan Finley from NC State or someone else. We knew about these kids at this point last year. There is not a Josh Allen, a Josh Rosen, a Sam Darnold, or a Baker Mayfield right now. Now, that could change over the course of the next 12 months, but that's putting a lot of pressure on these teams to move up, and that's why the Jets thought it was smart to get ahead of it. Arizona certainly has to look at this. Buffalo has to look at it. And I'll tell you what, the Denver Broncos have to look at it too, because it's possible that they're sitting there at number 5 and all 4 quarterbacks are gone. And so I'd expect over the course of the next month, as long as Allen and Darnold and Rosen and Mayfield check off all the boxes, that there's going to be pressure on those 3 teams to move up the board. Certainly there's pressure on Arizona, but there's pressure on Buffalo too. They've got A.J. McCarron there, and can Brandon Beane and Sean McDermott afford to go into year 2 without a long-term answer at the position, knowing that there may not be an answer there in year 3? That's the question these teams have to ask right now, and it's why there is pressure on those teams to move up.
By the way, listen, there's a story out that a Boston radio guy said that Gronk and Brady are miserable, and that Belichick's wearing them out. Nate Solder went to New York. From what I read, the offer from New England and New York's were kind of comparable. and he went to New York.
Yeah.
Is there some steam, is there some validity, some inertia at New England now where Belichick is losing veteran players that we think should love him?
Colin, do you remember back in October when Jimmy Garoppolo was traded, what I said, that probably, that wasn't really a 100% a Belichick decision. I think that trade kind of became the trigger for a lot of different things here. And I'll tell you what, the one thing that Bill Belichick has to do, he has to repair the relationship with Tom Brady. I'm sure you guys saw the end of Tom versus Time. He had full editorial control over that. If they had fixed it in the last couple of weeks, he could have gone to Gotham Chopra and said, you know what, take the part with Giselle saying he wants to feel appreciated, take that out of there. We don't need that in there. That's still in there. That means the problem between Brady and Belichick isn't fixed yet. And I'm not saying they need to go out and have beers together after games. I'm not saying they need to go to dinner during the week. But they need to get their relationship level again. The biggest reason why Bill Belichick's program has been enabled by Tom Brady, because he can coach him hard, because he's always gotten an outstanding response from him. He's able to run his program in a way that the other 31 teams can't, in a way that's really outdated with young athletes now, which gives him a huge advantage over everybody else, because the greatest player ever to play the sport is willing to take that type of coaching, responds to that type of program. So if that quarterback's off the reservation, that could create larger problems within the building. So the number one thing that you need to take from all of this, Belichick and Brady need to get their relationship back level. If they don't, it can cause larger issues there. And you're seeing it with a player like Gronk. You're seeing it with some of these guys going out the door.
90 seconds, Albert Breer, Monday morning quarterback, a guy we rely on. Cowboys, their big move is they're going to retain their long snapper. Are they sending a message, Albert, that they're okay with their roster? They're not going to go crazy. They like what they've got coming back.
I'll tell you what, the last 3-4 years, they've done a much better job drafting and developing players. They've got some cap issues right now, and I think they would have had an interest in an Ndamukong Suh or a Richard Sherman, but they just don't have the money to spend right now. Part of that, of course, is that they do have guys in the roster they're willing to spend on. Another part of it, they've got a budget going forward. You saw what Andrew Norwell got, highest paid guard in the history of football, $13.3 million. What does that make Zach Martin worth? We see the value of running backs going up. What's Zeke Elliott going to cost in a year or two? And so a big piece of this is what they've put in their building. Players who, A, are worth paying, and B, there are guys there that are going to be worth paying down the line. They've got a budget for these things going forward. The more successful you are drafting and developing players, the harder it becomes to be active this time of year.
Read his stuff, themmqb.com. We love him. Albert Breer. Good information, bud. Great talking to you.
All right, Colin.
Coming up next, you can mock our mock draft. It's our mock draft 4.0. All sorts of moves. That's coming up. Car shopping's confusing. Dealer price, list price, invoice, all those terms. Want to save $3,000 off MSRP? New or used? Go to TrueCar.com. In LA, it's The Herd.